Coming at you live from DNHQ in beautiful South Pasadena, California. This is the Blue Heaven Podcast. What's going on, Dodgers Nation? My name is Clint. You can find me as Real FRG on Twitter and Instagram. That guy right there is the legendary Douglas McCain, DMac_LA. He did it the right way on Twitter and Instagram. Doug, it's Friday Fun Show. That's what's in. Put the water. They're not sponsoring.
That's what's in.
They're not sponsoring us. Doug, how you doing, man?
It's the Friday Fun Show. I'm not having fun at all watching this Dodger team. They've struggled. They lose that series against the Pirates. They had all that momentum that they had built, taking 3 of 4 from the Cubbies, only to see it dwindle. Just lack of execution. We're talking stolen bases. I'm not happy with this Dodgers team. Yes, they are missing some key guys, but just overall, not feeling great about these guys.
13-13. We're about to hit the 1-month mark of the season, so you can start to get some legitimate feels about what this team is right now and what it could or should be moving forward throughout the season. So stay tuned next week. Already promoting for next week. On Monday, we'll do our 1-month reviews. But today, hey, the Dodgers are bad again because apparently Friday shows are for bad shows. Like you already said, our bad team. They're giving up. You guys can go out and go steal a base on the Dodgers right now. I'm pretty sure you could. You're fleet of foot. You know, most of your knees are still intact. We do got to worry, which is the bigger concern. Again, it's already twice we've done that in the first month alone, pitching or the inconsistent offense. And it looks like you also said, we will be getting a little healthy. They will be getting a little healthy into this homestand and all that. But before we get into the show, we got to remind you this is a podcast. If you want to hear us as a podcast, we're on all your podcast platforms. It's free. Go there, leave a review. Leave at minimum 57 stars, even if it only allows you to have 5 stars. We want 57 stars in the reviews. And drop into the comments. Let us know where you guys are representing Dodgers Nation tonight. Drop them area codes, cities, all that kind of stuff. And later on, let's get some predictions for what this weekend might look like. But, you know, this offense, it's really put me to sleep, Doug. So I'm gonna put on my Manta mask here, Manta sleep mask, while you tell the fine people what I'm wearing.
Manta Sleep. They make the world's best sleep mask and sleep accessories. Everything they do is to enable better lives through better sleep. They work relentlessly to improve and optimize sleep so that you can have the energy to live your best life. Check out mantasleep.com today, as you can sleep better anywhere, anytime. Get your Manta mask today. Use the code DN2023. And
Clint, you up?
That's DN 2023.
Clint, you up?
Bro, I'm not here. Just like the Dodger bats in Pittsburgh.
Sleeping in Pittsburgh. Really, this team as a whole. You want to start with offense? You want to start with pitching? Let's start
with some comments first right here. Nicholas is representing on YouTube from 206. That's in Seattle. Thank you for hanging out with us, Nicholas. BC, I saw BC says $25 nachos. I think there's a conversation going on there. Da Chamorro. I don't know. That's a terrible attempt at that name, but they say they're living in Guam and just stole second on the Dodgers from there.
Wow.
It must have been Noah Syndergaard pitching. I don't know who wanted Syndergaard. Elisheva checking in from SoCal. BC representing from Queens. That's in Mets country. We got 90501 Torrance. Andrew checking in on Facebook. Thanks for hanging out with us, Facebook. Appreciate you rocking with us.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
DKM is here. Says, I won't talk for long. I got glitched internet. Cool.
Switch to AOL.
Nailed it. I think we might still have some comments from the Lakers stream going on in here. I don't know, but we'll figure it out. I don't know. You got anything in there?
We got Otto Ray over on Facebook who says, dude, the Dodgers are so hard to watch right now. Yes, it's not a very fun and exciting team to watch. It's not a team that's playing with heart and passion, a gritty team like we were hoping to see this season. So I would agree with you, Otto Ray. We've got Brian Cameron who says, this season is young. Some unfortunate turn of events. It's too early to say they're bad. So, yeah, I mean, look, there's some positivity, a little Michelada half full take right there. Yes, it is extremely early. We saw that 2018 team get off to a really slow start, 10 games over to 500 to make it all the way to the World Series. So, yeah, it is still early, but still.
The problem is all of that you just said does not make for a good YouTube title or thumbnail. So the Dodgers are bad. That makes for a better YouTube thumbnail.
Look, we have to
title.
call. We have to look. We give them the good, the bad, the ugly. We tell them it's not. We don't give excuses. We make explanations. And yeah, there are maybe some key pieces, but still, I just don't like the general just feel of this team starting into this year. 2018 was very different. You know, it was a little bit of a World Series hangover. You still had a lot of up-and-coming players that were trying to establish themselves. Yeah. This season, I think, just kind of from the outset, I mean, just look at, Mookie Betts is struggling. That's your $365 million man. Your best player, your best hitter is a 7th-round rookie that wouldn't have made this team hadn't it been for a Gavin Lux injury. Everyone said he was going to start out in AAA in James Albert. So there's so many questions on this team. Feels like half the lineup is hitting under the Mendoza line. And I think, to me, when we talk about the stolen bases, is yes, it's an issue. Yes, it is alarming. But I think it speaks to a bigger issue about this team and how they are manufactured in 2023. I told you that the Dodgers were a BlackBerry living in an iPhone world. I feel even stronger about that now because this team does not feel like it's built for modern baseball at the moment.
No, it was assembled like these random parts from other teams, which it tends to happen with the baseball team. But I think as we got closer to spring training, both you and I weren't as high on what this roster. Yeah, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of potential, but you and I have potential, but here we are. It's like you got to actually produce, and so far they're not producing, we'll say. And it's looking like, it's just a roster of dudes, random dudes and not guys. We need some guys, not dudes.
No, absolutely. And I'm going to try to, after this show, I'm going to try to challenge myself to not mention Shohei Ohtani because I'm getting sick and tired of the narrative out there saying, oh, they're punting the season for Shohei Ohtani. I think that is a cop-out for Andrew Friedman. I think that is an excuse saying that, oh, this is a part of his big master plan. He's playing 3D chess. No, it's not about Ohtani for next season. And adding Ohtani doesn't mean this team is going to be a World Series winner. Look, it took all the Avengers to beat Thanos. Hulk couldn't do it all by himself. We've seen that in Anaheim. Ohtani can't change just like that. He's a fantastic player, no question about it, but I'm a little disappointed in the roster construction so far, how this team has looked so far in multiple position groups. But yeah, when we talk about the stolen base issue, I've been doing the post-game show pretty much almost every game this week, and it feels like it's reared its ugly head once again. And yes, this roster is filled with a lot of pitchers that they're not good at holding runners. I mean, really only Clayton Kershaw, Julio Urias is pretty solid at it, but most of these guys are bad at holding runners. And you add the rules with the shorter bases, the pizza box, and then the engagement rules, the disengagement rules, and you see why teams are taking advantage. And I think it's embarrassing. I hate to use the word embarrassing, but it definitely is embarrassing so far.
I no lies detected. It's bad, and one of the things I think Dave, I think they actually addressed it in spring training a little bit, and Mark Pryor had mentioned that they're more interested in their stuff than trying to mitigate the running game, i.e., in their windup, than pitching from the stretch and lose some potential stuff to try to hold those runners. We're seeing big ass leg kicks when there's somebody on bases, and Pittsburgh Pirates ran wild. So let's get into that series a little bit. Of course, you've already done the post games. You guys want to relive the pain? Check it out, youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. Subscribe, hit the bell, leave a like, do all those things. Really helps out the channel. But they lose the series of the Pirates. Really unexpected come from behind win on that Tuesday game. Great game on Tuesday, but then everything just really came undone. They score 3 runs over the next 2 games. Stolen bases, massive problem. What did they end up with? Pittsburgh I thought it was more than 12. I could have sworn it was more than 12.
12.
It feels like there's been 12 today alone. But and then pitching, I applaud what Tony Gonsolin did for the team. He did well. He did not allow any points on the board. But then the bullpen was like, "Don't worry, buddy. We got you." Everywhere. And Julio my preseason prediction of Julio having an ERA over 4 is looking really prime right now. This being not a terrible season, but a regression season for Julio Urias. And that was not a stopper performance out of Julio on Wednesday morning or Thursday morning there in Pittsburgh. So, Do you want to talk about Julio first? Because I know we all really want to talk about the stolen base issue, but I think there's a little bit more in the tank with the Urias situation. He's just not pitching that well, and you're seeing it in the first. That first inning run scoring issue is back, but now for some reason there's like a sixth inning. They're going to hit a home run at bare minimum. I think 4 of his 6 starts, they've hit a home run. The opponent has hit a home run in the 6th inning. So just give me your initial thoughts here. Just tell me about what you're seeing out of Julio.
Yeah, I've dubbed him the Urias, and I'm not confident in calling him that right now because the way he's pitching, you're seeing a lack of command. You're seeing his inability to finish off hitters. And we saw yesterday against the Pirates, he had 2 strikes on guys, wasn't able to get that finishing pitch. We've seen him have success with the slurve. Well, look at the big hit by Joe. I mean, that was a slurve, hung it right in the middle of the plate. That was later in the game. You look early on to Reynolds. I mean, that fastball is just looking very hittable. Not only has it dropped in velocity, averaging 92.5 miles per hour. I mean, that was a fastball that was averaging 94.1 miles per hour just a few seasons ago. So when you can combine the fact that the velocity has diminished and the command has gone down, you're seeing why he's struggling. He's looking frustrated out there on the mound. You saw him yelling into his glove. You got a very audible puta madre. I don't know if I can bleep that.
Thank you.
You heard him say that.
Wow.
And that lets you know how frustrated he's been out there. And like I said, the fact that and one thing that was alarming
This is a
to me.
family show.
I mean, hey, is it though? Is it yeah. So yeah, I mean, like you said. So I think the issue with Julio Urias is the stuff isn't as great. We saw the WBC, even early on the WBC when he was struggling. And he dealt with some home run issues last year. The home run ball is hurting him once again. I mean, multiple times he's given up back-to-back home runs this season. So, yeah, it's definitely early on this season. And we saw him, look, let's not forget, he had some bad starts early last year, only to turn himself back into a top 5 pitcher in the National League. So he has time to correct it, but he definitely looks like he's laboring a little bit out there. I think fatigue is a factor, is conditioning at the top for Julio. Is he still adjusting to the pitch clock? Because you see guys that when they're pitching fatigue, that's when their command starts to dwindle. And he is not quite a max effort guy that relies on velocity, but when he's fatigued,
better with it.
The velocity goes down, like you said, and he's not able to change the eye levels as much and work the top of the zone with that 4-seam fastball.
I'll say I'll say for you what you're trying to say a little bit. We're seeing it on the internet a lot. A lot of people wondering if maybe Julio came into camp a little más gordito than he has in years past, and you wonder if that does affect some of his rhythm and routine, or like you're saying, the stamina, the ability to pitch deeper in the game, and maybe the stuff isn't as good in the later games. But really, the stuff hasn't. We've seen Julio in all different shapes and sizes and ages, and usually that doesn't affect him. So I don't think that's an issue for him right now. I think an issue he is. He is bringing in another pitch again. It's an old pitch, but there's a reason they scrapped it years ago. There's some bad luck going against him, and when the bad luck happens, that's when he gets a little more animated and maybe gets out of his game a little bit more. I forgot who the player was, but an opponent recently, again, I will not remember, but I do remember them saying, and maybe you'll remember who it was, somebody saying that one of the things that they noted about Julio was he wasn't the guy he used to be. He wasn't the guy who would try to just rear back and blow it past you to get out of the inning. He would throw the, as Jay Hare likes to call it, the cambio. That he would change the eye levels. He would change the speed. He would throw some spin at you instead of just trying to blow it past you. But you're not seeing that as much so far. Not quite sure what the situation is, but anyways, 3-3 record, 4.41 ERA, 7 homers and 32 in the third innings. Not the best of numbers for a platform year. Do you think this so far? This is 1 month. Do you think this so far could affect that cha-ching in the offseason?
Well, it's a long season. I think if this continues and he has a 4.41 ERA to end the year, yeah, absolutely, it's going to impact him. I was never a guy that thought he was going to get $250 million or a Garrett Cole type level contract, but I think that Julio is a guy that you can count on to go out there and post and be consistent. And for me, like I said, the root of the problem right now is that fastball. The four-seam fastball is not located. If you compare 2022 on his fastball, opponents were hitting 195. So far this season, it's at 339. And the expected slug is at 519. So he just doesn't have the confidence in his fastball right now, and we know that sets everything else up. When his fastball command is on point, that's when he's more effective with the slurve. Also, you're not seeing him go out there and dominate with that changeup, too. That changeup going to that, whereas you see more cutter this season, it makes me believe that, yeah, I think you might want to go back to a mix that worked for you so well last season. As far as financially moving forward, I always look at Scott Boras. I look at Julio Urias. We know they want to create a bidding war. And if he ends the year strong and if he has a really explosive postseason where this Dodgers team is playing deep, which at this point, who would say that? I think, right now you're probably looking at 175, 200 million as the ceiling. But if he has a down year, maybe looking at 140, 150 million, something in that range.
Or it could be a 1 year prove it.
He's young enough where you might want to consider a prove it deal.
Accept that qualifying offer or something like that. I don't see that. I think either way, you're going to see a lot of money and a lot of multi-year offers his way because he is a Boras guy and he does have the track record of having been one of the best pitchers in baseball for the 2 of the last 3 seasons, depending on how this season goes. I saw a comment, somebody talking about the Austin Barnes effect, and I forgot the exactly. Michael Carrillo here says maybe Barnes just sucks at sequencing now. One note. 3 starts with Will Smith behind the plate. Julio 1.5 ERA. With everybody else, not. I think we had a show just after Julio's second stinker, so it was number 5 start on the year, and that was his first time. I believe that was his first time throwing to Austin Wins, and I put a lot of that loss on Wins for him not knowing how the pitches move and kind of costing him a few on the pitch frame. Do you think there's anything to that? The Will Smith factor, and Austin Barnes has an incredible track record, but I don't know.
I would say maybe
lead.
I would say a little bit. I would say maybe less than 10%. I still think if his stuff was right, if his command was there, I think you would see him be more effective. But something that no one's really mentioning too is he is also being a guy that is being hurt by the new rules. I mean, the restricted shift is hurting a guy that Julio Urias is not a guy that you can expect to go out there and be a Garrett Cole type or a guy that blows hitters away with explosive fastballs that misses tons and tons of bats. Yes, he does have that in his bag, but that is not how he has success. He has success by inducing soft contact. His fastball, velocity-wise, doesn't play up, but from a spin rate perspective, it's always one of the tops in the league. If you look at his BABIP numbers right now, batting average on balls in play, it's 326 this season. Last year was at 229. Last year, I remember one of the last shows I talked about the disparity in his ERA, which was at 2.16, and his FIP at 3.71. This year it's at 4.41 on the ERA and a 4.73 FIP. So the point I'm trying to make is he kind of is who he is this season compared to last year when you had the optimal shifting, when you had guys in positions to get those extra outs. But hey, it's compounded by the fact that yesterday, you saw him allow that double steal that led to a run. Reynolds scored on that sacrifice fly. McCutchen was able to score. I mean, if you're Julio Urias, who has given up more hits, and they're just able to get their bat on the ball and put the ball in play, if you're giving up a single and they steal and they end up at second, that single is really a double, right?
Yeah.
And then later in the game, you give up a home run. It's a recipe for disaster. So also, too, I mean, hey, man, you and I have watched baseball for a trillion billion hours, right? I mean, a 2-strike bunt, and then he ends up at third due to that Austin Barnes error. So, yeah, I think Barnes, as a hitter, we know that he's really one of the worst in the league. But as far as a catcher,
where's the lie? There's no lie.
Well, as far as a catcher, but what he provides, though, the reason why he's on this team and why I still consider him the best backup catcher in the league is because he has that ability to control a pitcher, control the pitching staff, and give them confidence. He has a below-average arm, but I just would not pin this on Austin Barnes, and I don't think Julio Urias would either. He's taken full accountability for his early season performance.
In the words of Doug McCain, 100% agree with your point right there. Sorry, I had to do that one. Yeah, this isn't an Austin thing. This isn't really a catcher thing. It's a Julio thing. The stolen bases, that's also a Julio thing, and it's a team mentality. It's a team mantra. It's what Pryor and the gang wants. They want lossless quality in the stuff, whether they're pitching out of the stretch or out of the windup. And There's DJ Jesse says Urias windup looks different. Do you think maybe he's playing a little too much with the windup? Because notably or famously, he kind of ditched the windup for a couple of seasons, and you could argue those seasons were very good, mostly pitching out of the stretch. Thoughts on that?
I definitely think there's more something there than who was behind the dish. I think you saw him flirt with that little hesitation, that Cueto-like move that he was using. You see sometimes, especially to right-handed hitters, where he tries to sneak and go three-quarters, kind of sidearm that fastball to get the outside corner to try to keep hitters off balance. And I think when Julio is at its best is when you see the repeatability on that delivery. And sometimes it does look mechanically like from pitch to pitch, it's not as consistent as it was in the past. So I think they're going to look at some things. I think they're going to fine-tune some things. But I also think this is a guy, too, that last few seasons, he has been a workhorse. He has been the one guy that you can count on week after week after week that has been able to go on that mound and post. And I think you're starting to see some of the residuals of that. And he's still in his prime. He's still a guy, young guy by baseball standards, 26, 27 years old. But still, I think you're starting to see that too. Because, I mean, Clayton Kershaw missed some time. Guys missed time. Dustin May, he missed a whole entire year. Walker Buehler, he's already been out having Tommy John surgery for the second time in his career. Yeah. The one constant has been Julio Urias. And then you have the fact, too, there is pressure. He knows that a good season for him could mean an extra 50, 60, 70, $80 million. So I think it's a lot of factors, but I'm confident that he is going to not necessarily be the Urias. And I've always said that he's not the Urias of a World Series winning team. I've always felt that at his peak, he's a solid number 2 on a World Series contending team. And I think that mechanically they'll fine-tune some things and they'll right the ship with Julio.
I was going to ask you that, what if you're worried about the start of the season. You pretty much buttoned it up there, so I'll take my own question. I'm not worried about this start of the season for Julio yet. I think 6 games and 30 some odd innings is not indicative of what the entire body of work, as Dave would probably say it, is going to look like by the time October rolls around. But it is concerning, and it is it'll be more concerning if we don't start to see them make some changes, make some adjustments, see him make some adjustments on the bump with get back to what's been working for you. Don't try to get too cute on the bump. I went bump twice, but maybe you don't need the little leg dance thing. Maybe you don't need that right now until you're in a better spot. But I think we'll feel better about Julio in 1 month's time. It just sucks that so many things right now are going wrong for this team. It just kind of it keeps compounding. So you're like, oh, is it him? Obviously, Julio Urias is not the problem this team is losing. They're either scoring enough runs or not scoring enough runs, and sometimes they score enough runs to normally win, but then the bullpen is like, hey, not today, boys. And it's just a lot of everything. But one constant we can turn to in all of that is 90 free feet never works in your favor, and they're giving away 90 feet a lot. Stolen bases, huge issue. I know you wanted to dive more into this. You got numbers. You got some stats. He brings his facts to the fight here. Tell me about what the hell is going on with the stolen bases.
Look, like Blake Trina would say, stop the steal. Okay, this Dodger team, when it comes to stolen bases, they're ranked 28th as a team and 30th as far as stolen bases allowed. They've allowed 38 stolen bases on the year. They've only thrown out 6. And each and every game, it's free money. And the word is out against this Los Angeles Dodgers team that you can run on the Dodgers. You can get runners in scoring position. And what that does is it allows you to generate more runs. And also it stresses the pitchers. Noah Syndergaard, one of the worst in the league at it. I think they're 9 for 9 so far this season. But still, the bullpen, I mean, Phil Bickford, when mentioned Austin Wynns the other day, when they gave up that stolen base the other day to Carlos Santana, he'd only had 2 stolen bases since 2019, and he ends up getting that swipe back on the double steal, and they end up...
Carlos Santana's in the 70s now. I mean...
legitimately. Yeah.
Different guy.
I mean, look, the Pirates stole more bases in 3 games than the Dodgers have had all season long. So, 1, they're not throwing out runners. They're being exploited. They're vulnerable right now. And 2, they're not taking advantage of these new rules and stealing bases themselves. Yes, we've seen a couple instances where you've seen more stolen bases and this team hit and run and things like that to try to help boost the offense. But look, it is a problem. And to me, for a team that has World Series aspirations. For an organization that always likes to feel like they're cutting edge, I feel like this is one area where the Dodgers are being exploited in a big way. And if you look at these pitchers too, hey, what's up with Dr. Mark Pryor, who is championed and deified by so many Dodgers fans? Look, if you just go look back at any of these stolen bases, the cadence of the pitchers, the rhythm, they absolutely get a head start. Every time the pitcher comes set, they know the moves they're going to make, and they're off to the races. They can pretty much walk to second base with the jumps that they're getting. So, yeah, to me, it's alarming. And the one thing I have an issue with, too, is Dave Roberts is asked about this, and he says, right now, I don't know the answer. And he said, we just have to be better. Really? That's all you have for me?
Yeah.
They should change the Dodgers hashtag this year to hashtag just have to be better, okay? And I think this team, they really need to get to the root of this, make some adjustments, because it almost feels like they're going out there saying, oh, we're the Dodgers. We can win because of this script on the front of our chest, because we've always had that edge in recent seasons. But all these teams at the top of the league in stolen bases, the Pirates, the Diamondbacks, the Cubs, well, they've got the vast majority of those stolen bases against LA. And not only are they stealing bases, they're cashing in on them. So, yeah, it's a major, major problem. I think Will Smith being out is an issue. I mean, he's only played 11 games this season, but still, this is on the pitchers.
I mean, even Prime Pudge Rodriguez could not throw out some of these guys with the head start they're getting off of the Dodger pitching. Expanding on your Dave Roberts point, I think it was yesterday, Dave was kind of asked about both sides of the coin on stolen bases, and in this case, he's talking about the Dodger side of things. Why isn't the offense trying to take advantage of it? It's not like they have an exceptionally slow team or whatever, but quote Dave Roberts, we just don't have the guys who steal bases. We're not constructed that way. That's just the facts. And this is coming from somebody who stole one of the most famous bases in history. I just don't like giving up outs or giving up bases. If there's right opportunities to steal a base, we'll do it, but it's just not part of our offense. And Andrew Friedman also got some words in about it. He believes that he says, quote, I'd like to have more stolen bases. I haven't dug into it, but I'd like to have it be more. I think we have a number of guys that can pick spots to get to double digits. So there seems to be maybe some differences in philosophy on the stolen bases, but for the most part, it sounds like Dave doesn't want to, let's be real, he doesn't want to add another thing to the laundry list of things Dodger fans like to blame him about. Because if they're going out there and trying to steal a bunch of bases and then they're getting thrown out, what is the fan base saying on Twitter then? It's not going to be good jobs, Dave. Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely a part of it. It's a little save my own ass if you're Dave Roberts. He knows that if he had the personnel, if he had guys that were above average on the base pass, yeah, you might see a more aggressive approach, but it's clear. They've outlined it, and they went with power over athleticism. They went to put the ball and get extra base hits. When also, who on this team can you count on? I mean, if you're a betting man and you had a race, I mean, who of these guys would you bet on to win a race? I mean, maybe James Outman, maybe Chris Taylor, maybe Adrian Gonzalez.
Adrian Gonzalez. I mean, these teams do not have a bunch of guys that are built to steal a lot of bases.
They have good base runners, but not base stealers. And yeah, the league, Major League Baseball, tried to find a way to inject more stolen bases into the game, but this is a team that just does not apparently feel from their field manager that they can go out and do it with regularity. With that, what is it, the 70% success rate clip? We've seen JD Martinez get thrown out a couple of times. We've seen we've seen David Peralta get thrown out a couple of times. We've seen JD Martinez get thrown out trying to stretch singles into triples for some ungodly reason.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to win in the Daytona 500 rolling out a Nissan Altima, right? And right now, this team, they're filled.
Slash all the other cars' tires, maybe.
Yeah, pretty much. A lot of late model cars, a lot of late model SUVs on this team. And yeah, I mean, I think they're just missing the point. I think it's a lack of recognition with how the game was going, the direction of this game. Hey, in 2018, 2019, this team, they'd be on fire, right? This team would probably have a better record. But I think when you consider the fact that this team isn't even taking advantage of the rules themselves, you're seeing the results of it. And it's unfortunate because, look, when this team struggles, when this team doesn't get the multiple home run game, when they don't get the extra base hit, but they do draw a leadoff walk. When you do get a leadoff single, rarely do you see the hit and run. Rarely do you see a stolen base, and that is what energizes offenses. That is what wakes guys up. Also, it puts stress on the pitcher. Clint, there is a reason why pitchers become marginal pitchers, average pitchers, become Cy Young candidates against the Dodgers, is because you get those quick innings. You get those easy outs, those lazy fly balls, and then when runners are on base, they're not even disengaging. They're not going over to first. They're not worried about holding runners. So this Dodgers team, they are not using every single way, every possibility. They're not trying to take advantage of these new rules. And it's disappointing to me for a franchise that really viewed themselves as a modern franchise that really was the cutting edge.
Yeah, the game changed on them, and it looks like they didn't do the homework to catch up with it because they had so many other things going on this offseason with franchise icons leaving, changing of the guard, the youth movement, and all this other BS and hoopla. But I'm seeing a team that needs to make an adjustment, and you've had just about 1 month. You know what this is doing. It's not working. You're 500. And, yeah, they haven't been always the complete roster. You know, Max has been out for the last 3 games. You haven't had Gavin Lux for a single pitch this season. It's not the team they anticipated going into the season with, but it's also it's not a bad roster. Just needs some changes. And some different philosophies, I guess we'll say. But we'll find out what the plan is over the next month, and I can't wait to come back to this in a month and see exactly how many stolen bases they've given up by that point and all that. I saw a couple comments here to get into. Sarah Morris saying on YouTube, speed doesn't equal stolen bases. Definitely not. But it helps. Definitely helps. Boomer Assassin says Peralta needs to be DFA'd. Who would you let go first, Peralta or Trace?
Without a trace.
Yeah. We put him on the spot. Breaking news.
Yeah, that's easy. I mean, Trace, Peralta's defense still playing up. The expected stats still like him. Trace is a strikeout machine, striking out over 50% of the time at the plate. He made that nice defensive play to really save a run the other day, but still, yeah, Trace is not even looking like a big leaguer at the moment.
2023 gaming on YouTube. They need to adjust to the stolen bases that are occurring. My good friend Joe Mama says, I doubt Dave gives a flying duck about the fan base, man. Thank you. Just waiting on that one. Gotta be ready. Gotta be ready.
You said you didn't cuss though.
Yeah, but I also don't cuss other times, and you do it, and it's fun.
I only cuss in foreign languages.
Thank you. I feel better about that. Angie has a fix on YouTube. Angie says Dodgers need new pitchers like we need Aroldis Chapman, Camilo Doval, and Emmanuel Clase, or Class, whatever that guy's last name is. So let's just go get everybody. That'll fix it for sure. Well, I mean, I'll take Chapman over Vesia right now. Vesia is a Messia.
Here you go.
Okay, it was like okay, Doug. Okay, Doug attempt. Anyway.
Sadly, I've done that.
Anyway. So that's base stuff. If you guys wanted to go out and bet on a team stealing bases off the Dodgers, you'd probably win big, and you could use our promo code at MyBookie, by the way. Got to remind you, promo code DodgersNation at MyBookie.com, or go to MyBookie.website/DodgersNation. Use that promo code, and you get extra free money for money you put in. So that's cool. Bet against the Dodgers, I guess, if you like money happening. Good read. Now let's talk a bit about the good stuff. I guess the Dodgers are getting a little bit healthier this weekend. The boys are back home with that. Max Muncy is waiting for them. Will Smith is waiting for them. Hopefully tonight, maybe tomorrow. If it's any longer, it's good. Yeah, tonight. Okay, it is going to happen. Will be in the lineup or on the roster? DHing. So Will Smith back. JD Martinez in out. They don't know yet. They're still waiting on JD Martinez. Brusdar Graterol will be back. Miguel Rojas will be back next week, so that helps a little bit. But you have to feel good getting Will and Max back in the lineup. You have to feel great about getting Brusdar back in the bullpen as well, because this is a bullpen that very much struggled in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's good to see Will back. I mean, we were concerned with how long this was going. JD Martinez, I'm concerned about that one. I think an IL stint
Got that old
could
man
be
back.
looming, absolutely. But yeah, reinforcements are on the way. This team isn't devoid of talent. We know they have guys in there. They're going to help this offense. Yes, they have 6 guys hitting below 200. Their 223 batting average is 27th in the league. But still, you bring back a guy like Will Smith, who we were talking about as a potential MVP, Max Muncy, National League Player of the Week. He's turned his season around. So, yeah, that's going to help the offense. But I'll be honest with you, I'm really not losing sleep about the offense. Yes, I would like to see them steal more bases and generate more runs and be more consistent. But I would probably, if I had a freak out meter and my concern meter for the offense, I think it would be probably a 4. Pitching, I would probably have that as an 8. I mean, the pitching is the problem with this Dodgers team. I mean, if you look at this year compared to last year, 26 games. Through 26 games in 2022, they scored 133 runs, and they allowed 60 runs. They were 19-7. This season, 26 games, they've scored just 1 less run. They've scored 132 runs, and they've allowed, though, more than double, 123 runs, and they're 13-13. So, of course, we know that offense, it's easy to point at someone's batting average. It's easy to point at Trace Thompson striking out. Even James Outman, who I said on Monday's show, I was fearing a little downslide. I want to see how it would deal with his first slump. But pitching is the problem. A bullpen that doesn't miss bats. A rotation that lost Tyler Anderson and replaced him with Noah Syndergaard, who has a negative WAR right now, who we'll see if he can make it through the whole entire summer. Like you said on, I mean, look, he's had a rough start of it.
Yeah.
Rough go of
He's
it so
been
far.
horrible. He's
There
been
you go.
horrible so far
Horrific.
this season.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just for him.
So
What I loved is on people who enjoy the advanced stats, we'll call them the FIP, the fielding independent pitching ERA. The 7th best Dodger pitcher so far this season is Luke Williams with a 3.35 FIP. So that's pretty funny. It's also pretty depressing at how bad this team has been at run prevention as a whole. What is the biggest concern? I guess that's really the call. It is the pitching, but the offense is bad when it's missing its guys, and when you don't have the player of the week in the lineup, when you don't have Will Smith, an all-star candidate, USA's catcher, in the lineup for the last 2 weeks, yeah, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle pretty bad. And you know what? JD Martinez, he's been among the team leaders in ribbies, in OPS. He leads the team in extra base hits. He's a bopper that they went that entire series without, and you don't play very well in that series without those 3 dudes in your lineup. So, but yeah, I mean, you're looking at, we already talked a buttload about Julio. You got Syndergaard in there. May has been more down than up of late. Gonsolin, it's incomplete report card. And there's the always ever present fear that when is the Kershaw injury going to happen? Because it's going to happen at some point, or just something nagging that's going to sideline him for at least 2 weeks or something like that. Where do you go when that happens?
Yeah, I mean, like I said on my show earlier this week, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And after all these years, Clayton Kershaw is still the best pitcher on the Dodgers. It's unbelievable. But like you said, it always feels like an IL stint is inevitable, and you really can only count on him for 120 to 140 innings pitched tops. I mean, you're probably not going to get close to that. But yeah, I think, where do you go from here from a pitching standpoint? I think you got to hope that Tony Gonsolin, who looked a lot better than I expected, having not gone through that full rehab, I think I want to see his command improve. He even said after the game, you want to throw less balls and be a little more efficient. I think Tony Gonsolin, how he performs early on, that's going to go a long way in fortifying the starting rotation. Noah Syndergaard, I remember I said the preview show, he was going to be my biggest disappointment, but I didn't say that he was going to be disappointing and that he was going to be a buzz. I just said that I didn't think he'd be an all-star or be close to Cy Young award-winning Thor. I didn't think we were going to see that again. But yeah, I think offensively, I mean, I said before the season started, which area do I want to focus on? I want to focus on pitching. And Gavin Stone, he's looked good in his last 2 starts, okay? Necessity is the mother of invention. Just like we put in Mookie Betts, we installed him in shortstop shortstop earlier for a couple games to see how that worked. I think Gavin Stone at this point of the season, if you're going to be hovering around 500 and you have a guy that has a world-class elite changeup that has the moxie and the poise to perform at this level, I think that could change the energy, the narrative of this season, knowing that you're giving a guy an opportunity like that. Because look, Ryan Pepio still hasn't picked up a ball.
Yeah.
Ryan Pepio doesn't seem like he's going to be returning anytime soon. So, yeah, and this offense, like you said, it's frustrating, right? Like, if you look at this offense in wins, they're averaging over 7 runs per game.
Yeah.
In losses, it's just over 2 runs per game. So when they win by a lot. When they lose really bad.
And when you break it out individually, and by the way, we want your guys' takes on what is the biggest concern for this team. Give us some thoughts in the comments as well. We got some time planned out here to kind of dig into your guys' thoughts on it. But that goes individual as well. Like James Outman is hitting like I think 118 in Dodger losses versus 400 in wins. Miggy Vargas kind of the same boat. I think he's hitting just over $1 in losses and closer to 300 in wins. Obviously, when players hit and get on base, there's gonna be more run scoring, but there's a little over reliance on, okay, we need one of these guys to do something today, or else, yeah, sorry, we tried. Thanks for coming out and watching the game, kids. You got something, DJ producer Cody?
I do. I have the Hornito shot taker comment. I got a shot taker right here. Mr. D-Mac just brought up Gavin Stone. Michael Carrillo said a little bit earlier, bring up Stone now, no more training wheels. I mean,
take out the training wheels, take out the bubble wrap.
I'm still on the boat that it's early for Stoner, but maybe I'm the one that's wrong.
There's no question that it's early in the sense that, I mean, this is a guy who hasn't even pitched 50 innings at the AAA level. But, hey, if you're looking for a spark, if you're looking for a guy that can possibly put up better numbers than Noah Syndergaard at this stage, I think, yeah, Gavin Stone is a guy. But I also think, too, the Dodgers, they do want to preserve that reputation and that they can fix guys, that they can get those reclamation projects like Noah Syndergaard. So just from an optics standpoint, you're not going to want to wave in the white towel. I think he's not a complete lost cause in Syndergaard. We've seen him have some pretty solid games. I mean, first start of the season, you saw the game where he had 9 punch-outs. He had the big changeup working. As long as he's working that changeup bottom of the zone and he's not leaving stuff up, and that really has been the problem across the board, is these guys kind of leaving stuff belled high and not working the edges, and that is why Kershaw has success for so long. But, yeah, I think this team overall, they have a lot of problems. But Gavin Stone, I like the idea, man. I think at some point you probably were waiting, probably wanted to give him 6 starts, maybe 7 starts later in the year. But with Pepio on the show for quite some time, with a lack of consistency from the starting rotation, I just don't see how it could hurt. Because if it doesn't work, you just send him right back down.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a need, then you have no choice. Right now, they don't need him yet, and I think you kind of gotta save him at this point for the occasion that you do lose Kershaw, because Grove is also still on the IL nursing a groin injury. They just got Tony Gonsolin back. You don't know what that's going to look like. At some point in the season, they're also going to need to buy some innings and some time for Dustin May, who hasn't pitched more than 60 or whatever it is ever at the big league level. So, you'd love to see your top guy come up and do his thing, as they say. But you also need to have some contingency plan ready to go down at the minor league level. And if it's not him, they don't really have anybody else. Or if you do see somebody else, it's going to be somebody you've never heard of or hasn't pitched in big league since like 2018 with Boston or something like that.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That guy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, look, they're not going to make any panic moves. They're not going to make any drastic.
There are no moves out there right now.
But as far as bringing Gavin Stone up right now, I mean, they're not going to do that. If it was my organization, if it was what I've seen from this team, and the fact that at this point, I mean, I'd rather see some of these young guys play and develop them and try to see what you have than some of these old guys that haven't been able to perform. I mean, I think it's something that would be in the cards for me. But yeah, what this team really needs is they need 2 to 3 weeks with Max Muncy and Will Smith in the lineup at the same exact time, hitting third and hitting fourth, and just having some consistency. But also, one thing that kind of annoys me is in the post-game show, first minute or two, it's just comments about Austin Barnes and Austin Barnes, how poorly he's hitting. Why would you talk about Austin Barnes before you would talk about Mookie Betts? I just don't understand that. Just because he can play shortstop. I mean, Mookie Betts, he's 3 for his last 21, hitting 143. I mean, this is a guy that his batting average has dropped every single year. I mean, he's hitting for more slug. I have pounded my fist on the table saying I want to see Mookie move down in the lineup just because I think it would give an opportunity to see some different pitches, have some different at-bats where you don't have to take as many pitches, where you can be aggressive at the beginning of counts. And I just think that, he has really not looked great at the plate. I mean, what are you seeing from Mookie right now, Clint?
I'm not seeing a good swing out of him. You're not seeing a consistent. You're not seeing a comfortable swing out of Mookie Betts right now. Every once in a while he'll run into one, but it's just not. It's not a pure swing right now. It's not that good Mookie swing right now. It's I'm trying my best to figure it out. Kind of Mookie. He will at some point. He always goes on some sort of hot streak, but I agree with the idea of moving him down. We had that conversation a couple weeks ago. I think you're at a point where, change for the sake of a change, which, I mean, I guess they're going to get in this series with the re-addition of guys like Will Smith mainly, but also Max Muncy coming back. But throw James Outman in at leadoff and drop Mookie down to 3 or 4 or something like that. Just to give the whole lineup a different look, and something happens. Maybe something happens. Magic happens when we're all in here in the office together. Magic can happen in the lineup if you just do some little tweaks here and there. But that's not going to happen because you already have a couple of big names coming back with Max Muncy and Will Smith, and that's going to be absolutely a difference maker too.
Do you think that the added weight, the more muscle that he...
I mean, he allegedly added 8 pounds of that strong meat in the off season. Nobody has literally ever effing said that in their life, but I just did, and it's on the internet now from here to eternity, or until I get fired and all these things get blocked on YouTube or whatever. But he put on the good weight, they say, because the assessment was that he was too frail for his frame. Well, frail is probably not the right word, but how does Dave like to say it? He has a way. Dave has a way of saying it where he's not, he's not a very big man. He's a small man. The Mookie Betts fellow is, and adding that weight was with the hope that he can last. He could survive 162 games, slate of games, a season, and end his season on a better note than maybe perhaps he did before. I don't know if the muscle is affecting him that much. I think it's the swing. There's something wrong in the swing because the muscle wasn't like, he wasn't just benching and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't the type of stuff that, like, you could see in golf. Let's talk from my worldview here. You get too ripped like I am right now in golf, and it can kind of I almost sold it for a second. It can kind of hamper your swing or change your swing or whatever. But he went for the all-around, just added man meat, and I don't think it's a reasonable question, but I don't think that's an effect.
Yeah, no, I think for him though, if you just compare his swing this year to last year, you're seeing a little bit of a drop off in bat speed. He's just not barreling up balls. The hard hit percentage down to the 44th percentile, 45th percentile, and barrel percentage. Expected batting average in the 35th percentile. So when he's getting his bat on the ball, it's not jumping off the bat like we've seen in the past. And you're also seeing too, the walk rate has gone up. The walk rate has gone up significantly to start the year, and I think he needs to be a little more aggressive at the beginning of counts and really just get on a run. Now, the reason I was trying to set you up, though, I was trying to lob it up for you alley-oop style for the Clint Cure. Are we going to get the Clint Cure for Mookie? I'm not saying you got to always throw it out. You're not feeling it, but are you ready?
I'm not feeling anybody in this series, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think Muncy,
respect that.
I think Muncy's not going to pick up where he left off, because where he left off was the Rookie of the Year, not Rookie of the Year, Player of the Week, same difference. But yeah, there's nothing that, like, they're not giving me any hope right now to be like, this guy is going to be the guy, because you're just seeing bad swings out of everybody. And even, I'll call it a partial Clint Cure on Freddie Freeman, because he had that 2-homer game, but he's kind of been booty ever since. You're not seeing that usual Freddie change where, and to credit the league, teams are pitching him very well. The Pirates pitched him very, very well, but you're not seeing that usual adjustment where just try to lay it out to left field and get on base and then lock it in from there. I guess I'll throw that out again. I think if there's anybody who has an opportunity to break out a little bit or just get back on track, it's going to be Freddie in this series, but it's not going to be some sort of, I'm not anticipating a magic player of the week type of week out of Freddie. I think it's just going to be, let's get a few base hits, string some games together with some hits. But Mookie, I feel, is further away than he would like to be at this point in the season in terms of getting his swing on the right plane, or if your swing isn't right, you're not going to swing as hard, and that's why you're seeing the lower exit velo. Like the ball, the almost grand slam that was robbed in game 1 of that series in Pittsburgh, that was not a loud hit ball. Like you can hear the crack of Mookie's bat being down. You could hear the exit velo lower than usual. I was surprised it traveled as far as it did, but
Zawinski, man, that would have been a home run in 27 or 30 ballparks. Yeah. And unfortunately, even though you kind of used the launch angle on that one, you didn't see that explosive hard contact that we hear when he's on. When he's on, you're seeing him rip that classic patented Mookie double to left field, and in him hitting the ball hard. But his average exit velocity is 89.4%. That is the lowest since 2017 when he kind of had that down year before that MVP season. So we know that the Apple Watch credit that. But 5 barrels on the season for Mookie. So I think you really have to put that spotlight on the superstars, because when your team is going through some funk, you really got to focus on the Mookie Betts, the Freddie Freemans of the world, because right now this team is hovering right around 500 with a mediocre schedule, and those guys definitely, they need to take it upon themselves. Even if it's not even on the field, I'm asking for in the clubhouse as well, saying, guys, hey, yes, we can't win the World Series in the month of April, but we can't set ourselves back. I mean, thankfully, the only team that has a worse batting average than the Dodgers, it feels like, is the San Diego Padres. So the Padres, they're hitting below the Dodgers right now. So, thankfully, this has been the battle of the mid in the NL West, and that's definitely kept them in it.
Well, it's tough. I mean, you saw that Juan Soto has that medical condition going on right now. You saw the bobblehead, so check that out if you
looks like Hasbulla.
At Dodgers Nation on Twitter. Send your prayers to Juan Soto, because he looks pretty messed up right now. A couple of the comments here. Craig Osterberg, he said Mookie and Freddie both missed JT's bat in the lineup. Seth Gribble agrees with you that Mookie needs to jump on the first pitch some more often. Getting back in the comments a little bit, Sarah Morris says pitching is her bigger concern. B. Guzman on YouTube said stop making babies. Always agree with that one. Hepatitis C you later says I'm not going to get concerned until after the trade deadline. It's still too early. I agree with the too early sentiment, but I also think that after the trade deadline is a little way too late to start getting worried. Eddie says a lack of leadership. Do you think maybe we're not seeing the best Dave this year?
I think this is such a veteran-laden bunch that I wouldn't place too much importance on the leadership. I mean, James Outman's come up and he's had success, so I think some of the young guys have been able to contribute. I think Dave, though, from the way he handles the losing in the media, to me, from an optics standpoint, when you don't have the answers and you say, we just need, remember, hashtag, we just need to be better, I feel like there's a little bit of a lack of accountability there. I think sometimes you need to crack that whip and come down a little harder on guys to try to get them to perform. And the thing about Dave is he trusts his guys. He trusts his veterans in that locker room, in that clubhouse, to go and make a statement. But, hey, maybe, look, if they have a rough series against the Cardinals, who really haven't looked good this year at all, their Redbirds have not been spreading their wings this season at all. If they have a rough series, I think then you're looking for a players-only clubhouse meeting where you say, hey, this whole year, it just felt stale. It has felt stale this whole entire time. Yes, you've had some big moments. You had the walk-off. You had the multi-home run games. And, look, they had so much momentum that they built taking 3 or 4 from Chicago. But I think what you're going to see is, like I said, to me, I'm going to reserve judgment until I see Will Smith and Max Muncy playing together for at least 2 or 3 weeks, because Will Smith only just played 11 games. Muncy, he figured things out after that 1-for-16 start. These two guys, they're looking like they can be top 5 to 10 MVP candidates, right? So you got them in the middle of the lineup, and then guess what? Your highest paid players, the top of your lineup and Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman can turn around, you're going to do okay offensively. But look, you are not going to win a shootout, right? This is not Big 12 football where the Texas Tech or a team like that trying to score 50 points a game just to win. You need run prevention, and that to me is the focus right now. So if I had to choose between Julio Urias getting back on track versus Freddie Freeman getting back on track, give me Julio Urias. Give me Dustin May putting together consecutive starts. Give me Noah Syndergaard, really, who's kind of on thin ice.
Not being ass.
I mean, he's been pretty atrocious of late. So, yeah, this pitching staff, they need to figure things out. And also, too, getting Brusdar Graterol back, like you said, getting Evan Phillips back in the mix. And the whole paternity thing has just been a little strange. I mean, you guys have injuries plus paternity leave this early in the season.
It's a weird
I didn't miss one day. I literally did. I worked. Oh wait, never mind.
Be careful.
Yeah,
be careful.
I didn't miss one day. When
Easy, big fella.
Well, I mean, look, you don't have to miss time, but I'm like, they can do what they want, and congratulations. But yeah, I mean, I just think that as a whole, it's just been a kind of a
IRL Doug right here.
It's just been kind of like a perfect storm early on this season.
It really has been. I like Joe Mama's take right here. It says better to struggle now than later. Yeah, you would prefer this happen in April and May than in September. But then again, we've also seen it happen in September with the 17 Dodgers being probably the most prominent team in recent memory to just straight up fall off the face of the planet and still come back and make it to a World Series. But
I got to give you credit, though, because like at the beginning of seasons, I had this team win 97 games. I'm always optimistic. And early on, you're like, this team's going to be hovering around 500. And like, yeah, that was kind of the Homer Simpson pick for sure. And I really have a lot of confidence in Andrew Friedman to address certain needs on this team as he sees. But yeah, such a perfect storm early on. Look, if there's not the All-Star game in LA last year, this team probably has a better record. I mean, for some reason, I didn't know Nick Cannon was on the Dodgers, but yeah, this team definitely has been on the wrong side of the injury bug, the paternity list. So now that you get guys back, get them off that paternity list, and you get guys in the lineup more consistently, I think things are going to turn around.
You know what they say? I'm just absolutely going to walk away with it because it's going to be in poor taste. But Deborah Young says Mookie goes down looking way too often. People are talking about concussions in the stream. So, I mean, you do you, boo, I guess. MB says expecting May to be expecting May to be a big month for Mookie. So maybe Mookie breaks out of it. Starting with it's going to be May, as they like to say. Notably, too, it's not just the Dodgers, like you mentioned with the Padres, but it's league wide. People are bad. Teams are not as good as they've been in the past, and the offense is just it's not as I guess good or pitching. I should say it's not as good as it's been, and I think you could put some of that on the rules, but also, I don't know what else.
I mean, it's just more of a level playing field. I mean, you're seeing teams that don't have these big free agents. They're able to get on base and generate runs. I mean, the Diamondbacks, they don't have any superstars, but they've been able to hover around 500 and they're on the top of their division with a young team that has a lot of speed and they have the ability to put the bat on the ball. So I think that certain teams like the Astros, the Dodgers, that had the cheat code in the fact that they had the analytics edge for so many years, there is no analytics edge when it comes to positioning and things like that. Also, just pitching matchups in general. So, yeah, I think unless you're the Rays out there, there is no clear-cut dominant team. There is not teams, especially in the National League, that are going out there and really impressing. But, yeah, the good thing, like I think one of our commenters said earlier, yeah, it's good to lose early if you're going to lose at all. And I think, yeah, the silver lining in that is, yeah, I mean, this team, like I said, the White Sox, go to the mountaintops. I'll scream from the mountaintop. They're 7-17. You don't need to just get Tim Anderson. I mean, you can go out there and try to raid a team. I mean, Giolito, a starter. Lance Lynn. I mean, this team needs a boost of life. And, yeah, Liam Hendricks, by the way. It's great news with him.
Awesome.
He was a cool guy, the All-Star game when he talked to us randomly. But, yeah, I think this team.
Little Aussie twinge.
The Aussie
twang.
Yeah. What do you say his favorite walk-up song with Metallica? But, yeah, I think with this team as a whole and the Dodgers in general, they need some answers. And hopefully it starts with a home series against the Redbirds that, to me, other than the Giants, I hold as my number 2 most hated team in the league. I go Giants and then Cardinals. So hopefully they see red against this Cardinals team and they want it to get back on track.
Guys, that's how you know you're talking to Dodger fans that have been around a little bit longer, a little longer in the tooth, as it were, because they will have the Cardinals listed in that team of hated or that group of hated teams. So let's talk about the Cardinals. You got some decent pitching matchups here. Jack Flaherty versus Dustin May tonight, which is going to be very useful setup for you guys that are listening tomorrow. Jordan Montgomery versus Clayton Kershaw. I guess we can call that the premier game of the series. And then on Sunday, two dudes that are going through a rough time of their season to start their season. Jake Woodford, who I don't know what that is, versus Noah Syndergaard. Sadly, I know what that is, and it's not working out. Should have got my boys Zach Eflin. But I don't remember, as per usual, what our predictions were on Monday, because I don't pay attention to anything we say on the show. But I don't think we're doing good in our predictions thus far.
Yeah, no. In a classic Colin Cowherd segment, where Colin was wrong, I said 5-1, so I'm already ineligible. But I did correctly predict last week, so I did go back and I did watch that for some strange reason at 3 a.m. But yeah, I like the way this rotation lines up against this Cardinals team. I mean, they're one of the worst teams in the National League to start the year. The Cardinals are 10-16, last place in the NL Central. We know they always play up against this Dodgers team. A lot of Dodger fans in the postgame show, they always tell me they want Jack Flaherty as a trade chip. But yeah, I feel really good about Saturday. Clayton Kershaw on the bump, and then we'll see if the big key. I'm confident Dustin May at home. I think he's ready for a really Dustin May-ish 8-9 strikeout type game start where he's looking filthy, because every once in a while you see him go through his rough patches and then he finds it with that command. I think it's going to be a solid start for Dustin May, and I think tomorrow it's Clayton Kershaw. I mean, he goes out there and he performs. Sunday is the one you got Noah Syndergaard, but at home Syndergaard has pitched a lot better, so it's a big difference.
Daytime, it also feels like he's struggled a little bit more, but he also just feels like he's struggling at all times right now. This is absolutely a series to get right for one of these teams. I'm really hoping it's the Dodgers. You can't not. If I was anybody on that Dodger roster, outside of maybe like somebody like Michael Bush, who was like, I'm going to get set down any minute it's going to happen, and I'm sad. If I was in that clubhouse, I would feel real good about getting my boys Max Muncy and Will Smith back in the lineup, and then, we'll figure out Monday when Rojas comes back. But I'd be feeling real happy real just jacked to go out there and try to win a ball game, get themselves an angry win. You got one of your stoppers, one of the guys you hoped would be a stopper for your team this year, and Dustin May on the bump going up. Honestly, Friday really is the marquee matchup, but and some cool stuff going on at Dodger Stadium as well this weekend with Manny Mota, legend of Dodger baseball induction ceremony happening on Saturday. They're giving away a beanie at some point. You got a bobblehead, I think, going in there. That's a Manny one, but it's a good like I said, it's a good series to get right, and I think it's going to go in the Dodger favor. Notably, unfortunately, tonight's game on Apple TV, so cue the booze. Thank you. It's not free like it was last year, so you got to go out and download it, but there's like a free code. So we have an article up on the DodgersNation.com on how you can do the free thing. I don't know. Noah wrote it. I don't know what the details are about the free Apple, but there's like a free 2-week trial or whatever. So that should get you at least one of the games, one of these Dodger games that is going to happen on Apple TV. But what do you think about this series? So you got 3-0, 2-1, 0-3.
Let's go Dodgers sweep. Break out the brooms against the Redbirds. Hey, look, Noah Syndergaard. These are pretty interesting splits.
He's due.
At home this season, a 3 ERA, allowing 6 earned runs and 18 innings pitched in 3 starts. On the road, a 14.63 ERA. So pitches much better at Dodger Stadium. I think you're getting guys back. I like the way this rotation sets up. This Cardinals team, they've been terrible to start the year. So, like you said, it's a get-right series, and this team knows that there's a lot of of whispers out there about the stolen bases. So I'm very curious to see how they're going to fare with runners on base. And yeah, I think I'm looking for a sweep, man. Break out the brooms. I need some feel good series against this Cardinals team that is giving me so much pain. Like you said, the real OG Dodger fans, they know.
Yeah, I got a couple in here. We got an F in the chat from Carnivorous Lunar Activity for both Jack Clark and Ozzie Smith. Shout out.
Wow.
Some newer Dodger fans could also hate guys like Matt Stairs and Matt Carpenter.
That's the one that really.
Those are the ones that'll irk you a little bit more. I would argue the '85 Cardinals weren't as high on your list, or the mid '80s Cardinals, but they're still going to be there. They're still going to be around. Adam 818 says Matt Stairs versus Broxton. Hey, you guys remember the few times that Joe Torre left John Broxton out there to just like straight up die? Remember when he killed his career? Thanks. Killed his career against the Yankees, I think it was. Either like 50 pitches or something, just absolutely insane.
Just that Broxton, man. I mean,
yeah,
I'll never forget that.
Sort of
5-5, top of the 8th.
Or the 6th inning on that hot-ass day at Dodger Stadium where Kershaw was cruising, and then all of a sudden, just single after single after single after single after single, and he was left out there to die as well. Thank you, Don Mattingly. Importantly, we have Seth Gribble's hate list. So everybody get your pens out. There's going to be homework after this. Hate list, number 1, Giants. Number 2, Astros. Number 3, Padre fans. Not the Padres, but the fans. That's a respectable hate list. I'll get on that. Craig, Giants, Celtics, Clippers, Suns. It's a good list as well.
That's pretty solid.
Thanks for rocking with us, Craig. they are rocking with us. Are you primed to jump in? We had a producer switch because somebody had to go cover the Lakers.
Had to go cover the Lakers, man.
DJ producer, that fool Noel. What's going on, Noel? What do we got?
Man. Hey, shout out DKM for not 1 but 2 super chats.
DKM. What do we got?
So first off, he gave us $10.
Hey.
And he told us we may have lost the series to the Pirates, but we cannot lose to the Cardinals. Dustin Mania better get enough strikeouts to survive a zombie apocalypse. and he said do some shots on the post show if LA wins, D-Mac.
Well, let's go.
Ooh. Didn't you? You cracked open that fine bottle of Hornitos,
I had a couple shots, man. I was trashed. Trashed.
He can't handle his liquor.
Oh, man.
He's such a fan because that is a response to Ryan Pepia saying that Dustin May would be the Dodger that could survive a zombie apocalypse. So, yeah, I got
real one right there. And then we also have one more that he gave us, which is $5.
Let's go.
And this one.
Yep.
He said, when will we finally get Dodgers Nation hats? And when will there be statues of D-Mac and Clint at Dodger Stadium?
Yo.
And also, D-Mac, buy that non-alcoholic drink.
I got you, man. This is all.
Thank you, DKM. You're a real one.
Appreciate you, DKM. We need to be able to, 1, find a statue maker, and 2, be able to break into Dodger Stadium to put them. What do you think? Should we be next to Koufax or the Jackie statue? Where do we want to put ourselves?
Man, I would say right
on top of the elevator.
Yeah, that'd be a good spot. I would say somewhere by the pavilion, or maybe out in the parking lot somewhere.
Do they? Which restrooms still have the old troughs in them? I want to.
Those
be
are
there.
those were the days, man.
Yeah. Bless
those were
up.
the days.
Bless up. What was the first part of that again? Statues, hats.
I don't know.
We gotta talk to Gary about
that's my
that
friends
one.
over at Hat Launch.
Shout out to Gary. He had some stuff going on today. So there's your.
I want to get your
out.
hate list.
Oof.
Doesn't have to be teams either. It can be people, thing. No.
Pass.
Dylan Brooks.
Pass.
I would say Dodgers.
I would say the Dodgers. Breaking news.
No, I would say Dodgers' biggest rivals. I would say Giants, Cardinals, and then I hate the Astros more than I hate the Astros more than I hate the Padres. I mean, geez, you think stealing all these bases is bad this year? I'm not just stealing a World Series, and that's what they did. But yeah, the Cardinals too. I mean, the Jack Clark thing is pretty wild. I mean,
yeah, Cardinals are up there for me as well. I mean, it's if we're talking teams, not people. It's Giants, it's Cardinals, because I can still think back to, not even the olden times, but even the more recent memory times, like, going to Busch Stadium and Odalis Perez giving up like 5 home runs to Albert Pujols back when he was La Máquina for real. Yeah, F them Cardinals. Every time you would go to St. Louis, it was just a bad bad time. I also hate the Rockies because I just hate that stadium. Every time you go there, Kershaw's ERA, bro. Kershaw, it blows up. Right, that synergy, bro. Something bad happens at Kershaw, at Coors Field. Whether it's Kershaw, whether it's something bad with Kenley Jansen's heart or whatever the hell it is, just throw it in the ocean. Get rid of that garbage. It's a far walk from the ocean, but get rid of the Mile High Stadium, stadiums over there with Coors Field and Rockies as a whole. We got some series predictions. Eddie Romero says 2-1. BC says Arenado and Goldschmidt combining to hit like 5 homers.
Wow.
Boomer Assassin says 2-1. Carl says 2-1. Joe Mama says 3-0. Deborah Young says 3-0. So we got some positive in there. Showtime Dodger fans says fan favorite Lars Nootbars. I think that sounds like a candy bar. That was a burp for everybody to enjoy for the old schools. Diane's in the stream. So thank you for hanging out with us, Diane. We got another one. What we got? We got something special?
Hey, speaking of Diana, shout out Diane. She gave us $10.
Let's go.
And she said, "Hi, Clint and D-Mac. What have I missed? She's been working hard, getting that bread up."
Baseball problems.
Little therapy session here.
A little therapy, it's good. It's a good show. Just make sure you tune back and listen here on the YouTube and on your ear holes on all the spots that podcasts live. But I think that about wraps it up. For the hell of it, I'm gonna throw a final score prediction at you because those always goes well. What do you think tonight looks like?
Tonight, let's see. Let's go 5. Let's go 5 deuce. 5 deuce tonight. Tomorrow, we'll go Kershaw on the bump.
Full series.
Tomorrow we go 4-1. Thinking of on Sunday we'll go.
Give me next Friday.
Sunday
well.
we'll go 6-3. Sunday 6-3. Yeah, we gotta get Kershaw back. I mean, that Matt Adams home runs still torture me years later. No one hits his curveball, a lefty. Oh,
it's gonna be
so much
painful
pain.
to watch Kershaw give up a homer, but he's going to. He's always good to give up a homer to
Goat Shaw
to the Cardinals. But guys, thanks for rocking with us. Thanks for hanging out with us. Find us on the internet, DodgersNation.com. Subscribe to Blue Heaven. We are on all the podcast platforms. We'd appreciate it. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. Hit the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Even if you already watch, go watch again and leave more comments. It really helps out. Boost us in the algorithms in some way. I'm RealFRG on Twitter and Instagram. That guy right there is legendary DMac_LA. Go follow at Noah Cameras for the hell of it. He's our stats guy in the background. Make sure you're following at Noise by Noel because he came in. He was loud. He was fresh. He didn't adjust his mic level.
Hey, on Manny Mota week to have a pinch hitter. One of the best pitch hitter, Manny Mota.
That's
what I'm talking about.
That is a great call. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the questions. Thank you so much for the super chats, and we will see you on Monday. Bye.